I'm Brianna Williams, and as of tomorrow, yes, tomorrow, October 2nd, 2015, I will be going on the 10 days mission trip to Kingston, Jamaica. I just kind of wanted to tell a little bit of my story, how I got to going on the trip, how things were going, my relationship with God, fundraising, all of that. Beginning of my junior year, actually, when I found out about the Kingston mission trip to Jamaica. So that was a year ago. Yeah, that was a year ago, or a little over a year ago. And actually rewind, my spring semester of my sophomore year, I signed up for the South Africa 10 days trip with my church, Grace Covenant DC, and I got in, but it was I had such a hard time trying to fundraise the money and trying to, I don't know, I was just starting, not just starting my relationship with God, but just starting my, I guess you could call it starting my relationship with God. I mean, I grew up in the church, but I knew about God, but I didn't really know Him. So, yeah, so around that time I had signed up for the trip and I was like, oh, South Africa, that sounds amazing, that's exciting, but God was just like, nah, you thought. And it was really hard for me to get the money, and I understand why it didn't happen at that time, because I wasn't ready, I wasn't prepared. And so I was like, okay, the next time I embark on a journey to go on a mission trip or anything like that, I want to make sure that it's God-led, and I want to make sure that it's all in His timing, like none of me, all of Him, that type of stuff. So I remember like a few months had passed by, so the beginning of my junior year, and I was just looking on 10 Days website, and I saw a trip to Kingston, Jamaica, and it really stood out to me. Not because it was like somewhere new and interesting. I'm Jamaican, I'm first generation, my family is actually from Kingston specifically, and so I mean, I had been there multiple times. It wasn't like it caught my eye because it was in such an amazing location or anything like that. I was just like, wow, like I saw this opportunity to reach out and really help the people and help them get to know God, the people from where my family is from where I'm from. So I really felt connected to that trip, and I saw it and I was just like, okay, don't jump the gun, Brianna, like you already know that that's not what you're supposed to do. Remember what happened last time. And so I kind of held out and I kind of waited for God to speak to me and to tell me like what to do and stuff. And so then fall semester of my junior year, I went to Campus Harvest, and they were saying if you sign up for a mission trip, when you're at Campus Harvest, like they'll help to sponsor, they'll be your first sponsor. And I was just like, I kept thinking about the whole trip, and I was like, okay, like I feel like this is the time. I feel like God is really telling me like you have to sign up for this trip. Like it was either I was going to do it now or like not at all. And so I signed up for the trip right then and there, and I was convinced. I was like, I'm going. Like there's no doubt in my mind. I'm going. And that was in March. It's currently the first day in October. So yeah, so that was in March of this year, 2015. And after that, I started reaching out to people like really early, started getting my trip money, not my trip money, my sponsorship letter together, and just going and trying to reach out to people, but it wasn't really receptive. And then life kind of happened, and I didn't forget about it, but it was kind of like, in the back of my mind, I was like, all right, I really should be, pushing this forward. So I really started like the beginning of June. I was like, all right, gonna get this going, sent out letters, all of that. Didn't really get too many responses, and I got a few, and then like it kept coming down and down and down to it until it became August, and I was like, oh crap, like this trip is in the beginning of October. Like I really need to get on it. And so I really started like going ham, like asking people, sending out letters, emails, and I started to get a little bit more of a response, but it still wasn't like where it needed to be. And then come like, I believe it was early to mid August, I remember in July I had applied to the 10 days First Seed Scholarship, I believe it's called, and it's for college students specifically who have never been on a mission trip. I applied to it and I got it for my trip, and it was a $500 scholarship. And I was like, wow. Like, somebody, like, what? A $500 scholarship. Like, the trip was, or is about somewhere around like $1,500, so I was just in awe. Like, honestly, I was just like, wow. Like, that's money that I don't have to worry about. That's money that God entrusted in me to be able to go on this trip, and that kind of like gave me the push to like really reaffirm like what he already told me. Like, you're going on this trip, like this trip is meant for you to go on. And so I just kind of hit the ground running, and I kept believing. But like, one thing with me is that like, or I mean, even a lot of people, like, you'll start believing for a little bit and then you're like, okay, you don't see any results, and you're like, all right, God, like, where you at? Like, what's going on? Maybe this isn't for me. And you start doubting, and I started doubting. And my campus minister, she was like, no, like, this is for you. If God didn't think it was for you, then he wouldn't have like given you the scholarship, he wouldn't have signed up for the trip, like all this stuff. And I was like, all right, like, you know, you're right. So I really started to try to have a little bit more faith. And I even talked to another campus minister who's a friend of mine, Lindsay, and she was sharing with me like some advice, because some advice that she had, because she has to like partner with people and things of that nature. So just giving me, and one thing that really stuck out to me was a verse that she had told me. It's Romans 10:14 and 15. It says, how then can they call on the one they have not believed in? How can they believe in the one of whom they have not heard? How can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can anyone preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. So basically, like, how can someone, like, if they've never heard the gospel, how can they know how good it is if someone isn't sent to tell them about it? And basically, like, I know I'm being sent by God to do this work and to do his work on this trip. And if it's one thing that I want to accomplish, it's just to reach one person. Like, it's great to reach the masses and stuff like that, but for me, just starting out, like, I just want to touch one person, one child, just one. Because if you can touch one person, you can touch millions, billions of people. You can touch anybody if you can just touch one person. Like, imagine if my mom didn't raise me in the church, or imagine if I didn't find out about my campus ministry after years of not going to church. Like, it only took that one person to introduce me to the Lord, or to have faith in me, or to, I don't know, really believe in me, and for me to be the person who I am today. And without that one person, like, I wouldn't be able to have a small group that I have from my campus ministry. I wouldn't be in a campus ministry. I wouldn't be in a church. I wouldn't be able to go on this mission trip. I wouldn't be able to potentially reach people. So it really only takes one person. And so I had gotten a little bit of feedback from people, and again, I started to doubt. And it wasn't until probably like a week and a half or 2 weeks maybe before the deadline that the money was due, and I was talking to my leader, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to come up with this money. And so I kind of like dropped the mission trip, and then probably like 3 or 4 days later, after my pastor, Pastor Donnell, he was speaking on just having faith and not doubting. And it really spoke to me, because I was like, wow, like, I'm really doubting. Like, if I don't go out and I don't try, how will I know what the outcome would be, or could be, or should have been, or whatever? And so, like, I literally called up my leader, like, right after church, and I was like, I want to go. I want to see how much money I can raise by the deadline. And she was like, okay, you got it. Like, I'm going to check back in with you in, like, I think I had 8 days. Yeah, I had exactly 8 days. So I just went ham. Like, I made a list of people. I started emailing people, texting people, Facebook messaging, like, just going all out. And people were really receptive. And I was just like, wow, like, it really showed me like you only have to have the faith of a mustard seed. Like I literally had this much faith, and from then on, like people just kept giving and giving, and I kept reminding people, and people were like, oh my gosh, this is great, like I really want to help you and all this stuff. And I was just like, wow, like if I didn't even have like that 1 ounce of faith, like this would have never happened. And it just made my faith grow and grow, and this whole journey so far, like it's not even done, has been like a testament of my faith and a test of my faith, not just a testament but a test. And God was really testing me to see my faith in him. And from this experience, like I wouldn't have never, that's not correct English. I would have never grown my faith and see how much it can grow and how much it can be, because without this experience so far, just even in fundraising, it showed me like how can I not trust God from now on, like with any and everything in my life, because he's truly a provider. And I remember at the beginning of my 8 days, I was probably around almost $700, and by the time, and that was on a Sunday, and then by the time Tuesday I was at like $400, and I was just like, wow, like I raised $300 or almost $300 in 2 days. Like who does that? Like who does that? And it just made me kept wanting to believe more and more that this is God. Like it says in Philippians 4:13, like I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. And that was really crazy. And so I just kept asking, and by the time the end of my 8 days were up, I hadn't raised all of the money, but I only had a little less than $300 left to raise. So that tells you from like 700 to 300, like in 8 days. Like that is a testimony and a miracle in itself, at least to me. And then for my leaders to be like, because of your faith, like I'm not gonna leave you, I'm gonna let you come on this trip, like that was crazy in itself. Like she's still letting me go on this trip, and I didn't even raise all the money that I needed to raise. Like I still haven't, till this day, October 1st 2015, I have not raised all the money. As of right now at 10:44 a.m. I have $194 left to raise, and she gave me up until 30 days after my trip to finish raising the money. And I was just like, wow. Like even this morning, before this video, a friend of mine, like she just gave me $50 towards my trip, and I was just like, wow, like look at God. Like even the day before I'm going on this trip, I'm still receiving funds and donations and partnerships and all of that to be able to go on this trip. And it's just a blessing, and it's just crazy to me because I've never experienced anything like this before. Like if this all can happen before I go on this mission trip, can you imagine what's gonna happen after I come back or while I'm there? Like I'm so ready to just do God's work and to just and to just share him with people, because imagine all the things that he's done for me, not even in this experience, like just throughout my life, and even in this experience, and just willing to share that with people, and share that with people who I feel so deeply connected with in Kingston. And I just can't wait to leave and to go and to be there and to just share God's word. Like I've never been so excited in my life to share God's word. And I can't wait to see what he has in store for me. Like, I don't know, it's kind of a surreal feeling, but I know from this point on, just from this experience and this test, that I'm gonna have faith in God for everything. Like, he's my provider, he's my shelter, he knows what I need, and he's everything. Like Tai Chi says, like, you are everything. So yeah, that's kind of my pre-testimony. And then when I come back on October 10th, I'll do a post-testimony video. Just kind of wrapping up the trip. And yeah. yeah, I can't wait for these next 8 days in Kingston and to see what God has in store for me. My plane landed around 5 o'clock from Jamaica. I'm so extremely sad that this whole experience is over. I don't even know what to say. Like, today I went to church and I wore my 10 days Kingston shirt, and everybody was asking me, how was the trip? How did you like it? Da-da-da. Like, all the questions in the book, and I honestly cannot even verbalize like the experience. I feel like it's one of those experiences that that you have to just experience for yourself. Like, I will do it no justice from what I'm about to say, but I feel like a mission trip, especially being a God-driven believer, is something that you should want to experience at least one time in your life. And for me to be able to do it in a country that I feel so connected to was such an honor and such a blessing. And I'm so grateful that God chose me and that my supporters helped to send me. Like I said before, that verse in Romans 10, 14, and 15. I'm just so thankful for the people who supported me and partnered with me to be able to go. Without you, this would not be possible, so thank you. And also thank you to 10 Days for the scholarship that I received of $500 as well. So thank you to everyone that just made that possible, and most importantly, I got to do the Lord's work, and it was, is there another, I was going to say adjective, but synonym for amazing, great. I don't know, I just feel like those sublime, superb. I just feel like those words don't do like the whole thing any justice. I met so many great people. The God-Centered Crew, which is a ministry out in the Kingston area in Jamaica, and they're so amazing. Like Toki, Jason, Gary, Tarek, just they're amazing and they're doing amazing things. God-Centered pretty much is a ministry that goes out into the high schools in Jamaica and just spreads the gospel, and they are doing some great things and really moving Kingston and Jamaica as a whole. So I'm so blessed and so honored to have been able to work with them on this trip, and just to meet amazing young people who are serving the Lord. Like, that's always encouraging, and that's always a great thing, and something I always look for, especially in terms of like keeping in contact with people and being friends. So I'm just thankful to even have met them. Like, that encounter was so amazing. And also the high schools that we went to, like, the kids were so receptive, and it was great because I'm in college, but I had never thought about like ministering to younger kids. I don't know, it's different, but it's so encouraging because it's like you can relate to them, but then it's like they're also hungry and they want it, or they have a whole bunch of questions if they don't know about like God and the Bible and things of that nature, or even if they do, because Jamaica is a very religious country, but it's not about religion, it's about relationships. So a lot of them don't have a relationship. They have the religion, they have the practices, they have the, okay, this is what you do to do this, the step-by-step thing, but they don't have that relational aspect, that relationship to be able to really connect and grow spiritually. So it was not great to see that, but I mean, it was different, and it was great just getting to know a lot of the kids. One of the kids that I really loved getting to know, her name is Tina. She goes to Papine High School. The cutest, sweetest little girl you will ever meet in your life. She's so smart. She's so sweet. She has a great spirit. She's so full of joy, full of the Lord, and I love it. And I know she has so much to offer the world and God's kingdom. She's amazing. We went to Operation Restoration, which is another high school. It's an alternative Christian school, for kids whose reading levels aren't up to subpar with the regular high schools. And those kids there, they were just so they were so warm and open and accepting to us and everything like that. And oh my gosh, they had the cutest little baby. Like my heart, like these kids were so cute. They broke my heart. Like, stop it. Make me want to take you home. But they were so cute. And Merrill Grove was the all-girls high school that we went to, and these girls, they were just so full of the Lord, like my goodness. And they were so sweet. They were so great. It was very nice. And we also spent some time actually spent every day at Pepin High School, so that was like our base main school, and it was great just getting to know the kids there, because we got to spend more than just one time there with them, as opposed to the other schools where we only spent one time, except for Quality Academics, which we went 2 times. And those kids, they were really great as well. All the kids were just great and really open to receiving, and we also got to do a little bit of campus ministry, which is something I was kind of scared of before going on this trip, which is funny because I'm in college and I have done a little bit of campus ministry, but not too much. I wasn't really a fan of it before, but now now I want to go hard for the campus, whether it's high school, whether it's college, it doesn't matter at all. Yeah, we got to go to UE, which is University of the West Indies, as well as UTech, so the technical college in Jamaica, and it was great just getting to see where people were at and seeing people and their different thought processes and their patterns and ways of life and everything like that, because as we all know, like, you come to college and you think you get a little bit of knowledge and you think you're like Einstein or whatever, you think you're the smartest thing in the world, you get a little bit of knowledge and you forget about God, you forget about logic, you forget about reasoning, you just forget about a whole bunch of things that make sense, but then somehow knowledge and education makes you think that it doesn't make sense anymore, which is totally not true. But it was great just doing the God test on those campuses. It really gave me more of a liking to the God test, because before I did not like it. I did not like the God test. I did not like ministering on college campuses. It wasn't something that I was ever really thrilled to do, but now it's kind of encouraging, just seeing, especially the people in my group, like seeing how they responded to the whole thing. And kind of talking about the people that I went on the trip with for a second, like some of the most amazing, God-filled, God-led, spirited men and women of God I've ever met in my life, and just cool, down-to-earth people that I know I'll be friends with for a very long time. It was a team of 17 of us, I believe. And to my leaders, Will and Saman, you guys are amazing, and thank you so much for just blessing me with this opportunity, and I cannot wait to go back next year. And just also forming like a sisterhood with all the girls that were there, the girls around my age that were there, like Jessie, Katie, Liz, Brandy, Adiola. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Meeting some amazing people who do amazing and great things, like Don, your humor. Your humor gets me every time, like, you're just a light. And your guitar playing is out of this world. Lulu, you are so sweet. Like, I don't even know what to say. I like feel so connected to them. Like, we're a family, honestly. And our WhatsApp group will go down in history for forever. Forever in my heart. It was honestly one of the best experiences of my life. I'm really blessed that God chose me to be able to go to Jamaica, because it's a part of me, it's a part of my heart, and I don't think it's all settled in yet that I actually went on the trip and that it's over now. Like, it'll probably settle in another day or two, but this is just the beginning for Jamaica. It's just the beginning, and I know I'm called to go back. Go back and spend more time there and just spread God's word there, because it's relationship over religion. It's not about what you do. It's about matters of the heart. Matters of the heart was my answer to a lot of questions that I was asked, because a lot of them had to do with doing things or deeds and things like that. And it made me realize that everybody needs to just know God for themselves, because if they don't, then they're missing out on something that is so amazingly beautiful, as well as something that can't be duplicated, it can't be replicated, something that is once in a lifetime to get, and that's eternal life. And if people don't understand that, they just think it's by deeds, then they won't be able to get it. And I really feel like we just started to break the surface in Kingston. 8 days wasn't that enough, but I mean, it was the time that we were given, and we definitely won a lot of souls. And we definitely touched people. My one goal before going on this trip was to touch at least one person. I just wanted to touch one person. And I definitely believe that I did, plus some. Like, I believe that even though not everybody that I talked to got saved, I at least planted a seed and they started to think about it. Like, while I was giving away purple books and giving away like my information for people to reach me and stuff like that, like I just felt a draw and a pull in my heart. It's not always about winning souls, and I say that very cautiously, but it's about planting that seed. It's about helping another person get to that next step that they need to get to in order for them to be better and grow more in their spiritual walk with God. Whether that's going from 1% believing to 10% believing. Yeah, it's 10%, but it's more than what they started out with. And I don't know, it's not over for me with Jamaica. It's not over for me with Kingston. I don't really know what God's next plans for me are in regards to Jamaica, but I can't wait to see, and I can't wait to go on my next mission trip and just go for the Lord. And I can't wait to grow in these new relationships that I now have. I can't wait to see what He has in store for me, the next steps in my walk. I can't wait to go above and beyond anything I could ever imagine, whatever's next for me. I just can't wait to see what the Lord has in store for me. So yeah, it's my I guess it's my testimony.